Did you ever think you'd like to live the lifestyle of the rich and famous on your own private yacht, island hopping to all these wonderful destinations along the Dalmatian coast? Well, I have a treat for you. There's a way that you can do it, and you're not going to have to take 40 or $50 million out of your pocket for that own private yacht. Today, we're going to do a review of Katarina Cruise Lines. Stay tuned. Joining me today is Beth Schulberg, owner of Cruise and Travel Specialists, located in Portland, Oregon, and our very special guest from Katarina Cruise Lines, Daniel Hauptfeld. Hi, folks. Welcome to RTE-Travel Talk.
Thanks, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Great to have you with us. So listen, one thing that's all over social media and YouTube are videos of the rich and famous on their private yachts, visiting exotic destinations that we can probably, at least for guys like me, can only dream of. Now, I have discovered, much to my surprise in the last little while, that there is a way to actually sample a little bit of that fancy lifestyle without having to take 40 or $50 million out of my pocket for my own personal private yacht. Now, Beth, I happen to know that you've just recently returned from such an adventure with Katarina Cruise Lines, and Daniel, you're here from Katarina Cruise Lines to kind of fill us in on some of the history. So I thought we'd spend a little time today talking about that. Beth, if you can start off with maybe a 30,000 foot look at your particular cruise, where you went, what you did, and why you chose Katarina. How does that sound, folks?
Sounds great. And I will tell you, Ken, this was my second time on Katarina.
Oh,
I went right before COVID, had no idea what it was like, went with 12 people. We sort of went blindly. We were like, well, what is this? And how could this be so great as, people describe it? It was so fabulous that people who went with me said, we had no idea it would be this great. So I decided that my friends had to enjoy this trip as well. So I chartered my own yacht. 38 of us went out in October, and it was everybody that I knew. They got a personal invitation, and they have said it was their best trip ever.
Wow.
So amazing.
So where was the cruise, Beth?
We started in Split, and we went to Dubrovnik, and we stopped along the islands of Hvar and Korčula, and these beautiful islands. And what I tell people is that Croatia is like Greece was before the cruise ships inundated it. These islands are so close together that the large ships cannot get in. So you don't have to worry about the tourism being a problem when you're on the islands.
Oh, wow. So it's these smaller yachts can go where the big ships can't.
And they do. And it's wonderful. We were on one island. We were the only yacht there. We were surprised that there were even restaurants open because, again, you don't eat dinner every night on the yacht, nor do you want to, because you want to experience the islands at night.
Daniel, besides the obvious, what are some of the key benefits you can expect as being part of a small group on a private yacht?
Well, it feels like you own the yacht because it's maximum 36 clients. We have some yachts that are smaller, 14, 20, 25. Like Pat said, one of the key features of our cruises is that we sail between the islands, we island hop, we swim between the islands during the day, and then around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, we come into these small ports and towns, and that's where we stay overnight docked at the port. Now, all the towns on the islands are based around these old fisherman ports. So you're always in the center of the town. Wherever you go out for your dinner or if you go on an excursion, you just return to the port and your boat, your yacht, your hotel basically is there. You have your cabin, but you're basically always either on the deck or in the town or visiting, talking with the captain and the crew.
Oh, fantastic. So, Beth, that's quite similar to a river cruise. You're docking in the heart of these small towns, so you can just step off the ship into your own little bit of history, right?
Well, the river cruises have 160 people. This has 30. I stretched, I took 38 with me. It's just a much more personalized experience. And I will say that although I did have 36 people with me that I knew well, when we went 3 years ago, we met people from England, from Australia, from New Zealand, and that also was fabulous, getting to know other people. The crew was fabulous. The captain was wonderful. The meals were, it was just like a 6-star experience. It was fabulous.
Well, fantastic. So you mentioned you met other people. You chartered the entire yacht? Was it just
Well,
your
I
group of
did this,
friends on the yacht, or was there other
yes.
people on board with you?
3 years ago, other people were on board. Last month, just my people were on. I had the whole ship. I could have booked 2 of them.
So Daniel, you've got quite a number of these ships in your fleet. What would be the average passenger complement of these yachts?
Maximum capacity per ship is 36. So we have 6 different categories of ships. We go from traditional original boats that we had back in 94 to these modern yachts that we have today that we call Deluxe and Deluxe Superior. And we have 43 ships in our fleet cruising all over Croatia. The Dalmatian coast, like Beth and their group did, from Split to Dubrovnik and the main islands, up to the northern parts where our headquarters are, Opatija, which is close to the Italian border. Just to add on to how you can meet other people is we have guaranteed departures from mid-April to end of October that you can book onto. So you can have just a cabin, and that's where other people's come in from other countries, and that's we have sometimes up to 12 different nations on one ship, and you meet people from all over the world who are adventurous as you are. They're going to Croatia for a small ship cruise, so it's a similar mindset. Or you can book the whole ship for the people you know. Or
okay, so if I don't have 36 of my closest friends, then I can still come on board and meet a bunch of new people like you did, Beth, on your first one, right?
Correct. Yeah. And I just want to throw this out. Katarina doesn't stop just booking the yacht. They did an amazing job with our group, taking us from Split we stayed 2 nights on the island of Hvar. We took ferries everywhere. We took a ferry from Hvar down to Dubrovnik. We stayed in Dubrovnik for a couple of nights, and then we got on the yacht. So they really do everything just beautifully. They made my job very easy.
So that's all packaged by Katarina.
Correct.
Because of our name, Katarina Line, a lot of people think, this is just a line, like a cruise line. But we are actually an incoming agency for Croatia. So half of the people in our offices work with hotels, different restaurants, different experiences, wineries, and so on. So we can add a land tour package before or after, or just offer simple accommodation like villas in Croatia, or typical 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels.
Fantastic. So Beth, how did you find the food on board, and how would that compare with, say, for example, a luxury cruise with Silver Sea or Regent?
We had 2 chefs on board that cooked beautiful breakfasts. They cooked beautiful lunches. We had 3 dinners we were taking pictures. The dinners were so beautiful. Food is a lot of fish. So if you don't like fish, you really need to let them know in advance, because you're in the water, you're sailing on water. So it is a lot of fish. We thought everything was great, from their salads to their main courses to their desserts. It was fabulous.
So the experience with Katarina as opposed to a Silver Sea or Regent, Katarina is more luxury, or is it more casual, different. Or how does it?
Katarina is very casual. It's much more casual than a luxury cruise.
Right.
And also on Katarina, your meal is your meal. You're not ordering from a menu. You sit down and you are getting what they have prepared for you. Remember, there's 2 chefs in there. There are 2 servers in there. It's not a luxury experience. It is like the lifestyles of the rich and famous, where you are on this beautiful yacht in the middle of these fabulous islands. It's just a completely different experience.
If I can add in, we have a crew of 9 on our ships that cater to these 36 people. But remember, these ships behind me, you can see some of them are small. So we don't have enough food for all 7 days on board. We actually stop in the different towns. You can actually accompany chef to the local market and see what type of salad he's going to prepare tomorrow night. And sometimes, especially ladies, go with him and see how he chooses the tomatoes, the potatoes, the salads, the fish. And even look at how he prepares it, because the kitchen is right there. You can walk by it. And we try to prepare local recipes. Of course, we cater to all the different dietary needs, like gluten-free, or if somebody doesn't eat liver, fish, and so on. We try to accommodate everyone, but we try to put in some of the Croatian national dishes at least once or twice a week.
So in other words, Daniel, you get a real flavor of the region.
You do. These chefs are cooking like they would cook at their own house.
Super, super.
You get to know the chefs. You get to know the housekeepers. I mean, we knew everyone by name. You get to know, there's a bar, the bartenders and the servers. You become like a big family, of course, after a week.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So the atmosphere on board, Beth, you said was casual. There's no formality at all. Everybody's just
very casual. They do have a captain's dinner, which is a lot of fun. They bring a band on board, and you are served. It's like going, to a fancy restaurant at night. Everybody dresses up, and we dance the night away. So that's really a lot of fun with the captain. The captain is there dancing with us.
sounds like a real blast. So what about the accommodations, Beth? How does your stateroom size compare to either like a river cruise or obviously on a small yacht?
Mm-hmm.
They can't possibly be the same size you'd find on board a Silver Sea
they're
or
pretty
Regent.
big. Yeah. Regent, they're so large. When I was on Regent, my biggest complaint was I couldn't see the television from the bed. So, I mean, we're not talking that. You'll never turn your TV on anyway when you're on this. But the room, the size is perfect. You have storage everywhere. Like Daniel said, if you're in your room, something's wrong. You should not be in your room except to sleep and to shower, because there is so much beauty outside on the decks.
Right. Though, Daniel, these accommodations, they're not balcony cabins or anything like that.
Like I said, we have 6 categories of ships. But of course, today, these yacht-like ships, deluxe, superior, we have even the balconies on some of the boats.
Do you?
Wow. We distinguish between cabins on deck, cabins under deck, and then some of the deluxe ships, the newer ones that we built, even have the balconies.
So there is a range. There is a range of accommodations if you so chose.
Exactly. And then just to mention that the original boats are still there, still running around. You see them. We use them for backpacker market, young, fun, spring break type of vacation.
Now, Beth, I guess we pretty much know the age demographic of your group, but Daniel, what
you mean really young? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Young and go getters.
Well, we are in the U.S., Canada, and English-speaking countries. We are aiming for that client who tried the river cruises. So we're the next step, we're the river cruises in Croatia through the island. So that's our ideal client. But by having these 6 categories, in the lower categories, we're actually also aiming at families with children who like a swimming vacation. Because remember, we swim every day, at least once, usually twice a day, in these secluded bays in the clear sea. And then in the afternoon, we come to the town so they can go walk around the town. And then, as I mentioned, in the lowest category boats, we have the 18 to 30 and like-minded party cruisers, people who like to take Instagram pictures and post where they were and so on.
Right. So, Beth, you cruised in September.
Yes.
How did you find the weather along the Dalmatian coast at that time of year?
Well, I cruised in September because I knew it would be perfect. Okay. So in May and September, you don't have the crowds and you have, the weather is not so hot. We had absolutely perfect weather. I mean, I can't guarantee that a storm won't come up, but we got pretty lucky on our trip.
You can't control the weather every single day, even though we're sometimes expected to.
Well, let me tell you a funny little story. We went to dinner at a restaurant. This is 3 years ago on an island. I can't even remember the name of it. And after we were finished eating, we were with a couple from New Zealand.
Right.
The owner of the restaurant said, "I don't take credit cards." We're like, "What?" And he went, "Yeah, I don't take credit cards." And we went, "Well, we don't have any money." And he said, "That's okay. Just give the money to the captain. And when he comes through next week, he will give me the money." I mean, is that not, that is how things happen, 100 years ago, but they're happening that way in Croatia today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
So I gather then you're rating the service as good or better than a luxury cruise line.
Yes, it is fabulous because you want to take everyone on board home with you. That's how good it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Daniel, your season, I think you mentioned your season was mid-April to...
Right. So mid-April to end of October on many different routes out of Opatija in the north, Split for the middle Dalmatia, and Dubrovnik from the southern Dalmatia. And then we have one-way routes, we have round trips, usually 7 days.
Yeah. Peak season is
Peak
probably
season would be 1st of June till end of September. September is the new high season. Everybody wants to be there in September. But my favorite time to travel will be end of May, mid June, because that's when the days are the longest.
Right.
From 6 in the morning till 9 in the evening. The season is just starting. Everyone's eager to work. But of course, September is the best selling month. And this year, the weather was tremendous.
Oh, fantastic. So Beth, you mentioned your cruise was really smooth. The weather was great. Is there any chance of encountering rough seas when you're taking this type of cruise?
3 years ago when we were on it, we did have a storm come up and we just went and docked. We weren't on the sea. They have that option of changing the itinerary and pulling in. So for anyone, I did have some friends with me who got motion sickness and they didn't feel anything on this, because we were docked if it was rough.
So I would assume, Daniel, that probably goes without saying, if the captain spots inclement weather where things are going to get a little rocky, he'll just duck into the nearest port. Would that be right?
We give them the option to reroute if they know that on Wednesday weather will be bad on certain island, so they can reroute. But sometimes the weather is bad everywhere. Usually that doesn't happen because Croatia is a sea. It's not an ocean. It's a lake-like condition.
Yeah.
But then we have other options. That's where our offices come in. Then we prepare some additional excursions if we're docked 2 days on a small island. Safety is first, of course.
Of course. Listening to the two of you, this sounds absolutely fantastic. Now for the $64,000 question, as I like to say, Beth, how much does something like this cost?
Well, I don't think they charge enough, honestly. The group that I had, they kept saying, why is this so inexpensive? What they thought they were getting was not what they got. It was so fabulous that when they got on board, they were like, I cannot believe this. This is, the ones that were in the lower level, they were like, oh, we didn't get a balcony. We're in the lower level. And they were like, our room is beautiful. We don't care if we have a balcony. It's so gorgeous. Again, the price, and Daniel, you can correct me. It looks like, anywhere from, depending on when you go, 2,000 euros to 2,500 euros for the lower level and 3,000 and up for the balcony rooms. And again, that's for I always choose the highest category of yachts. And that was for 7 days. So it was great.
And that's per person?
Per person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that sync with what you have, Daniel?
Oh, yes. That's exactly the price range where we are with our top selling, the top category. And that also includes, of course, the meals. It doesn't include the drinks. Right. But the drinks are inexpensive in Croatia. They're about $4 a beer. And, we have house wine for about $15 a bottle. Of course, we offer expensive wine, same price like you would offer it here. But yes, we are still a very good price comparing to any of the river cruises.
So a good travel advisor like Beth can put together a group and really make it kind of all-inclusive.
Exactly. And what they do, the agents from US especially, or Canada, they would say, come and join me, or I'm hosting a cruise in Croatia on a yacht,
So, Daniel, give us a little bit of the history of Katarina Line.
It's a family-owned business. Katarina is actually my mother. She opened the company in 1992, right when Croatia got its independence from former Yugoslavia. Before that, she worked 17 years in government-owned travel agency Kvarner Express. Once we were Croatia, we were able to open private agencies, and she did it with the help of partners like Beth from around the world who told her, listen, we want you to do hotel arrangements, excursions for us, and so on.
Right.
And then she realized she needed to do something different, so she gathered these wooden pirate-like ships. We started doing daily excursions. Then somebody suggested we had some beds, and then we had 3-day cruises. We improved some of them. We added cabins with showers and toilets, and that's how it took off from one ship to 63 ships in 2019. Today we are running 45, but all proven quality boats. Mm-hmm. Family business. My sister is in charge of our cruise department. I'm in charge of marketing. But of course, my mother, she's still in charge.
That's fantastic. So, Beth, it's obvious. It's a family-run operation, and that work ethic filters down to all the crew and which I'm sure just makes for a fantastic experience on board, right?
If it's not on your bucket list, it should be.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, folks, this is really, really super information. Is there anything else either one of you might like to add before we wrap up?
I can say their ships are filling up, so don't wait.
Actually, a good question. How far in advance should you book something like this?
Well, it depends on the season you want to book. If you're looking for September, you should be already emailing your agent. If you are, fine with the dates or you can choose, then we have all the time here and there a cabin pop-up. We are already accepting bookings for 225, I must say, especially for groups. But the last thing I wanted to mention is that in the last 10 years, Croatia did move up in people's minds. We used to be a country that you would visit together with something else when you're doing Europe. Now we already are at the point that people are going to Croatia, and then maybe they'll add a Rome or Venice or Munich to their trip.
Fantastic.
As long as they have more than 2 weeks, because you need at least 2 weeks in Croatia.
That's true too.
So, Beth, if folks wanted to reach out to you about a cruise with Katarina Cruise Line or another cruise vacation, how would they do that?
Email Beth at cruzholidays.com or call me 503-641-5225.
Sounds good to me. I'll leave that contact information in the description for folks that might like to reach out. Now, I always have to ask, Daniel, because both of you folks are in the travel business here and you're always on the go. Where are each one of you off to next?
I'm going on a 100-passenger yacht in the Caribbean over Thanksgiving.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm currently in Miami. I'm traveling tomorrow to Tampa and then back to Miami and driving up the coast all the way to New York. So I'm already on the trip. And then on the 9th of November, I'm back into Croatia. And then what we do in Croatia, we like to go skiing in Europe. So I'll end up probably for Christmas somewhere in Austria. Which is close to Croatia. It's just a 4-hour drive for us. So that's my next trip.
Sounds great. Well, Beth, the cruise in the Caribbean sounds interesting. We'll have to have you back to regale us with your adventures on board.
Yeah.
And Daniel, I am just absolutely fascinated with Katarina Cruise Lines. We'd love to have you back sometime to give us a little more in-depth look at Katarina and your history. How's that sound?
Thank you very much for the invite.
And with that, I'm just going to wish the two of you safe and happy cruising on all your future travels and adventures. May the wind always be at your back. And I hope to see you on the Lido deck of a private yacht sometime in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guests, Beth Schulberg of Cruise and Travel Specialists and Daniel Hauptfeld of Katarina Cruise Line. If you'd like to reach out to Beth about a potential cruise with Katarina Cruise Lines, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach out to us with a suggestion for a future video or a question, simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com, visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this content, a like, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.